Two people, same income, same city, same starting point. 10 years later, the distance between them is difficult to ignore. One has margin. One has debt. One has options. One has obligations. One sleeps with flexibility. The other negotiates with pressure. And from the outside, the difference appears financial. But the income was never the variable. It was never about what arrived. It was about what happened after it did. And most people never ask that question until the gap is already difficult to close. The decisions no one noticed, the habits repeated without applause, the small choices made on ordinary days. Because money rarely changes a life by itself. It simply amplifies the direction that was already there.
Same salary, different relationship with money. One person sees income as permission to spend. The other sees it as material to build with. Neither was born more disciplined. Neither arrived with better instincts. The difference began quietly. One decision, repeated often enough to become a habit. A habit repeated long enough to become a pattern. And patterns have a way of becoming lives long before anyone notices. Clarity separates them more than anything else. Not income, not luck, not circumstance. One person knows where the money goes. The other estimates, assumes, avoids looking. And what remains unseen cannot be managed. What cannot be managed manages itself, usually in the wrong direction, usually quietly, usually for a long time, before it becomes impossible to ignore. Because money follows attention, whether attention is present or not. The first difference is awareness. Nothing dramatic, nothing sophisticated, just attention, consistent attention. Where is the money going? What is it doing? Is it building something or simply leaving? That question, asked often enough, changes behavior. And behavior changes outcomes. Quietly, gradually, the way meaningful things always do. Same income, different defaults. One person's money moves toward priorities first. The other spends first and hopes something remains. Afterward, something rarely does. Because money left over is usually less than money assigned. Sometimes, nothing remains at all. The amount matters less than the sequence. The order of decisions shapes outcomes far more than most people realize. The numbers are important, but the sequence is often everything. Habits are the infrastructure of financial life. Not motivation, not discipline, not intention. Infrastructure. The person with systems does not need to make perfect decisions every day. The system absorbs the imperfection, even on the difficult days, even when motivation is absent. The person relying only on willpower must win every day. Eventually, everyone loses a difficult day. Infrastructure survives those days. Motivation rarely does. One person invested in themselves, quietly, consistently, without announcement. Not chasing shortcuts, not searching for miracles. Simply improving the quality of thought, the quality of judgment, the quality of questions asked before decisions were made. The return never appeared on a statement, but it appeared everywhere else. In fewer mistakes, in better opportunities, in decisions that aged well, year after year. One person learned that emotions are expensive. Not because emotions are wrong, because decisions made from emotion often outlive the feeling that created them. Fear spends, comparison spends, stress spends, the desire for relief spends. The purchase made after a difficult day is rarely about the item. It is about the feeling. Learning to pause between feeling and action may be one of the most valuable financial skills a person can develop. The pause costs nothing. Its return can last for years. One person played the long game, not because patience came naturally, because they understood compounding, not as a formula, as a behavior. Small actions, repeated consistently over sufficient time. The account grew slowly, then noticeably, then significantly. Not because of one brilliant decision, because of thousands of ordinary ones, moving in the same direction, without interruption. One person understood that lifestyle is a decision, not a destination. A decision repeated every month, every year. The lifestyle that consumes everything leaves no margin, no flexibility, no room for error. And margin is not luxury. Margin is resilience, the ability to absorb uncertainty without collapsing beneath it. One unexpected expense, one lost contract, one difficult month. The person with margin absorbs it. The person without margin is undone by it. One person protected the margin. The other spent it. One person learned to say no, not to everything, to the right things. The upgrade that wasn't necessary. The expense that served appearance more than direction. The commitment that pulled money away from higher priorities. Saying no is not restriction. It is direction. The person who cannot say no to anything eventually says yes to nothing meaningful. Every yes carries a cost, whether visible or hidden. One person learned to choose deliberately, because every financial life is built one decision at a time. One person understood that time was the real asset. Not money, time. Money can return. Time does not. Every financial decision carries a time component. The earlier the behavior begins, the less force it requires to create the outcome. The longer compounding is allowed to work, the harder it becomes to stop. Time rewards consistency, and consistency rewards patience. Together, they produce outcomes that appear impossible from the beginning. The gap was never built all at once. It emerged through accumulation. 1% better decisions, 1 degree different direction. Sustained, repeated, protected. The difference looked invisible for years, almost insignificant, until it wasn't. Because the results of good behavior are often delayed. But delay is not absence. The accumulation was happening the entire time, quietly, beneath the surface. The difference was never luck, never circumstance, never the income itself. It was the relationship with the income. One person treated money as something to manage. The other treated it as something to consume. One built a life that expanded, quietly. The other built a life that appeared full, while leaving little behind. Same income, different relationship, different trajectory, different future. The behaviors are available to anyone. The clarity, the systems, the patience, the willingness to look honestly at the numbers without flinching. None of it requires perfect timing. None of it requires extraordinary income. None of it requires ideal conditions. Only a decision, followed by repetition, followed by time. Same income, same city, same starting point. What happens next is behavior. And behavior can always be changed. The income was never the story. The pattern was. Change the pattern, and the future follows.